Give me your hands, show me the door. I cannot stand to wait anymore. Somebody said, be what you be. We could be old and cold and dead on the sea. But I love you more than words can say. Well, I can't count the reasons I should stay. Give me some more time in a dream.
Sarah, could you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your job here at East Belfast Mission?
Sure. My name's Sara Cook. I'm the Director of Family and Community at East Belfast Mission.
And what exactly does your job entail here?
Well, as the director of the department, I would coordinate the overall work of family and community, so help to set the strategy and help support all of the other staff members that are working within the department.
Can you talk a little bit about what brought you to East Belfast Mission?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually, and an interesting story. I've been in Northern Ireland for about 10 years, and you can tell by my accent that I'm another American. So I've been here doing mainly community relations work, but some other, sort of community development work as well. And I had been here for quite some time, and had, and it's a very long story, but I had been doing some voluntary work with the mission, and when this position came available, I thought I might give it a go. So I've been here in this position for about 2 years now. We do have several key projects that we carry out throughout the year, and one of those is Neighbors in Need, which is a great program to highlight because the church has done so much work in particular with Neighbors in Need. So Neighbors in Need is a Christmas hamper project that provides upwards around 365 families and individuals in East Belfast with Christmas hampers or food parcels during the Christmas season. And that's a fantastic project because family and community sort of leads it off, but the whole mission participates, and of course the congregation really adds a huge amount of help and encouragement during that whole project. And then in addition, even to beyond EBM, there are a lot of other churches and organizations in the community that help. So we're in a great position because we basically coordinate all the work, but it's a huge citywide project that all kinds of people are involved in.
Now that you have been here a couple of years, what do you feel like are some of the biggest needs of the East Belfast community, and how do you feel East Belfast Mission is trying to reach out and meet those?
That's a good question. I think probably one of the biggest needs is for social connection. There's a lot of social isolation in East Belfast, and I think there are a lot of people looking for opportunities to really build community and be a part of something that feels significant and feels connected. And I think one of the things that EBM does the best is give people not only services, hopefully that are useful to them, but give them a chance to feel like they're connected in with other people. And I think that's one of the things that the Family and Community Department is looking to do over the years, is continue to build those connections. And I suppose one of the other big needs in the community is confidence. I mean, you could look at all of the other needs around literacy and education and housing and joblessness, and there's so many different things that the community needs, but I think at the core of a lot of that is connection and confidence. And I think a lot of people are lacking the confidence to really get out and shape their life the way that they would really want it to be. And so I think one of the things that we're really seeking to do is to empower people and to let them know that they can do what they need to do to make their life the way that they would want it to be, and to give them a chance to connect to other people in that process. What
sort of cross-community work have you done in the past 2 years, and do you have any projects coming up that is specifically cross-community focused?
Yeah. We just finished a 13-month project of cross-community dialogue and storytelling, which was really quite interesting. We just did the numbers on that, and I ended up realizing that we had over 1,000 people participate over the course of 13 months, and that we had intended originally for it to be exactly a year-long project with maybe 12 to 14 events, and it ended up being 25 events and 18 creative workshops on top of that. And basically the reason that it got so big and that so many people participated was the way that the community responded. We had just set up some initial events, and because people kept saying, well, let's try this, and what about this, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. But basically how those events developed or took shape is that we had some community forums where people could get together with a panel of speakers and basically listen to what the panel had to say and then ask them questions and to dialogue with each other. And there were probably about 40 to 60 people at most of those events, and that was really useful for people who weren't quite sure about dialogue but wanted to come along and give it a try and be, quite anonymous. We also had dialogue workshops, which were much smaller, about 12 to 20 people, and those allowed people to kind of really get underneath the skin of issues and be in a slightly more intimate space so that they could talk through some of the more difficult issues together. We also had storytelling residentials, and those storytelling residentials were designed for people who wanted to get sort of beyond the issues and talk about their own life experience of the conflict. And that was a powerful piece of the work, because I think for a lot of the people who participated, they maybe hadn't heard about the personal experiences of people on the other side of the interface. And that went both directions. I think both communities probably found quite a lot of what they heard surprising and moving and insightful, and I think it helped people to get a better sense of what the other community experienced during the conflict. So basically it gave each other a chance to walk in each other's shoes. So that was quite key. We did those at Lusty Beg, so it was a beautiful location and gave people a chance to get away from East Belfast and just have a little bit of space to themselves. And then we did two other sort of special projects within the project. One was an oral history project that featured the Belfast Blitz. And basically we were working with older folks from the community to hear their own experiences of the conflict. And we centered around the Blitz because it affected both communities very similarly. And so we thought that might be an interesting starting point for people to discuss their memories of that time. And then finally, the women from East Belfast Mission, the women's group here, and the women's group from Short Strand Community Centre did a joint art project where they created two very similar pieces of art that both groups worked on called Circles of Life that featured some key aspects of their own community. And we've put one up in East Belfast Mission and one's up at Short Strand Community Centre, and they're fantastic. They're beautiful pieces of art, but they also are great in that they symbolize the fact that both communities came together to create the art together.
If there was one thing that you would want the congregation to know about the community work that has been going on at EBM, what would it be?
I think it would be that we couldn't do it without the congregation. I think, sometimes the congregation doesn't realize how much it actually contributes to this type of work, because so many people in the congregation go about supporting the work very quietly and very subtly. So I think sometimes the whole congregation doesn't realize that without everybody doing what they're doing to support the work, it wouldn't happen. So from people volunteering with women's group and men's group and mums and tots, to people helping to organize the walking group, to people who help us advertise our events and help bring other people to things like the interface events and the interface conversations, we just wouldn't be able to do it without the church. So I think there's a really nice natural partnership that happens there between sort of the community aspect of things and the church aspect. And I think, too, it's something that the community sees. The community realizes that the church is actively involved. And I think it would be very safe to say that quite a few people have come to the church through the community activities because of the way they've seen congregation members involved in that work, and because of the way they've seen congregation members live through that work. So it's really exciting.